All right, let's just dive right into this explainer. Today, we're exploring a fascinating and honestly pretty high stakes battle that's happening right now. We tend to think of our houses as these impenetrable fortresses, right? But underneath the floorboards and out there in the yard, there's actually a constant, invisible war going on. We're going to look specifically at the environmental gauntlet faced by homes in Wyoming, Ohio. And we'll use that to really understand the incredible engineering and the dedicated professionals required to keep our modern lives flowing smoothly. So think about your own house for just a second. What unseen forces are secretly attacking the limits of your walls and floors day in and day out? I mean, you might immediately think of wind or rain, but the most relentless attacks, they're actually happening underground and right inside your utility closets. These forces are working 24/7, just wearing down materials that we usually assume will last forever.
The reality is, our homes are running a daily environmental gauntlet. We're talking about violent freeze-thaw temperature cycles that physically expand and contract metal. We're dealing with shifting, clay-heavy soil that literally squeezes underground pipes. We've got high water tables pushing against foundations, and hard municipal water silently leaving behind rock-solid mineral deposits inside our fixtures. It's intense.
So here's our roadmap. Today, we're breaking down the Ohio Plumbing Gauntlet, 4 common pipe villains, the 3-step professional rescue, codes and compliance, and finally, what it actually takes to master the trade. All right, part 1, the Ohio Plumbing Gauntlet, nature versus infrastructure. Let's look at the unique geographical challenges faced by homes in Wyoming, Ohio. You know, the great irony of Wyoming, Ohio is that the very things making the neighborhood so beautiful actually create massive underground risks. These homes sit near the Mill Creek watershed. That means high water tables are constantly putting pressure on sewer laterals. Add in the clay-heavy soils of Hamilton County that shift around whenever there's moisture, plus an aging housing stock built between the 50s and the 80s, and man, you've got a perfect storm. Even those gorgeous mature oak and maple trees lining the streets, they are actively plotting against your underground pipes. Which brings us to part 2, 4 common pipe villains, the threats within. Now, these aren't just hypothetical scenarios. These are the actual, daily problems local plumbing experts are dispatching trucks for every single day. First up, we have root intrusion. Now, this kind of sounds like a sci-fi movie, but it is happening right in your yard. Literally, giant oak and maple trees are actively hunting for water. Their root systems are so incredibly powerful that they seek out tiny cracks or joints in your underground sewer lines. They force their way inside and they multiply until they completely choke off the pipe. And yeah, that causes raw sewage to back up straight into the home. Not fun. And that brings us to our second villain, aging materials. Between the 1950s and 1980s, galvanized steel pipes were the standard. But over decades of use, they do something pretty terrible. They rust from the inside out. This invisible corrosion restricts your water flow, causes rusty water, and eventually leads to sudden pinhole leaks. The modern solution for this is repiping with highly durable PEX and copper, which are specifically engineered to resist this exact kind of internal decay. Our third villain is the violent freeze-thaw cycle. Ohio winters bring brutal temperatures that freeze exposed pipes in unheated crawl spaces and exterior walls. It's just simple physics, right? When water freezes, it expands. But this expansion is so powerful it literally cracks open solid metal pipes. The real disaster, though, happens when the temperatures rise. The ice melts, and water just begins uncontrollably flooding the house. Finally, we have hard water sediment. This one's a silent killer. In Hamilton County, the municipal water is hard, meaning it's absolutely packed with minerals. Over time, these minerals deposit inside water heater tanks, creating these thick, rock-solid layers of sediment. This stuff acts like an insulator, completely tanking the heating efficiency of the unit. It causes weird rumbling noises, spikes your energy bills, and eventually causes the entire unit to fail way before it should. Okay, moving to part 3, the 3-step rescue, the professional protocol. When nature inevitably breaches all these defenses, how do the pros actually step in to fight back? Well, outfits like Keystone Plumbing use a really strict, transparent 3-step protocol to rescue a flooded basement or a burst pipe, totally removing the guesswork for the homeowner. Step 1 is immediate contact and dispatch, assessing the urgency to prioritize actual emergencies. Step 2 is diagnosis and repair, where clear pricing is given before any work even starts. And Step 3 is completion and follow-up, ensuring the system is thoroughly tested and the homeowner completely understands the warranties protecting the work. During that diagnostic phase, they deploy a serious arsenal. We're talking about feeding high-definition video inspection cameras straight into the pipes to show the homeowner exactly where the roots have breached. It's like a medical procedure. They use high-pressure hydrojetting to blast away stubborn clogs, incredibly specialized tools for repiping, and pressure testing equipment to guarantee zero leaks. It is precision work.
All right, part 4, codes and compliance, the rule of law. Because plumbers can't just fix things however they feel like it. They are bound by incredibly strict laws designed specifically to keep us safe.
Things like precise drain sizing and venting. Those aren't just polite suggestions. They are strict Ohio Plumbing Code mandates. And why? Well, because proper venting stops deadly explosive sewer gases from entering your living spaces. Cross-connection backflow prevention makes sure that contaminated water from your house doesn't accidentally flow back into the public municipal water supply. Plus, for any major work, Hamilton County legally requires permits and inspections. This quote straight from our source material really highlights the stakes here. Unlicensed work is illegal and risks fines, failed inspections, and insurance complications. Bypassing these codes with unpermitted or unlicensed work isn't just dangerous from a health perspective, it can legally and financially ruin a homeowner, entirely voiding your insurance claims if a disaster happens down the road. It's just not worth the risk.
Which brings us to part 5, inside the plumbing trade, the path to mastery. Because if the environment is this hostile and the laws are this strict, the people doing the work have to be incredibly well trained.
Becoming a plumber isn't some quick weekend course you take online. It is a grueling 4 to 5 year journey of intense classroom and field training. You start out as an apprentice working directly under a master plumber. For years, you're learning the codes, understanding the crazy physics of water and gas lines, and seeing literally every bizarre situation the Ohio climate can throw at a house. All of that happens before you can finally sit for the rigorous state journeyman exam. To really put that into perspective, in Ohio, securing that license can require up to an astounding 10,000 hours of documented field work. Seriously, think about that number for a second. 10,000 hours. That is the equivalent of multiple college degrees in terms of sheer time commitment and hands-on problem-solving experience. But that massive investment in skill definitely pays off. The demand for skilled tradespeople is just incredibly high right now. An entry-level apprentice makes a solid starting wage, but an experienced journeyman can make up to $75,000. And a master plumber, the one tackling these insanely complex Midwest environmental challenges and maybe even running their own shop, they can easily earn upwards of $80,000 to well over a 6-figure salary a year. It's a highly respected, heavily compensated profession. And for good reason, because we absolutely rely on them. So looking at the environmental gauntlet right outside your door, the clay soil shifting, the roots hunting for water, the freezing winters, and that hard water slowly building up, we really have to ask, when the next freeze hits, will your home's defenses hold? Understanding these unseen threats is the very first step in making sure you aren't caught off guard when nature inevitably strikes. Thanks for exploring this with me today.